Hey everyone, TeamFightTonka here, your favorite Hardstuck Masters player. The new patch notes are out for 10.23, so I figure I'll do my rundown. We'll try to get this done even faster than last time, because these take so much time. What are we hoping for this patch? Probably Talon nerfs, Ash nerfs, maybe some Adept changes or nerfs, Dazzler nerfs, um, but not by a bunch. And yeah, maybe bring up some lower comps like Warlords. I'm hoping there's some Warlord changes based on what we saw with Zinza in the PBE stuff. But let's dive into it. So first thing, a bunch of new little legends. That is cool. They are fine. Systems. We made improvements to the champion movement logic. This should result in more consistent and expected behavior. Most noticeably at the start of the fights. So I assume this is to fix some weird cases where champions either don't move at all or they just bug out moving. Like I know a lot of times they'll have melee units or 660 range units just sort of stand there and wait for the opponent to walk into range, which is super garbage. So hopefully this adjusts that. Traits, Cultist Changes. Doubling of star levels. They're seeing overperformance in Cultist 6. This is super true. I've been seeing people just run Cultist 6 as their entire base until they get to level 8, and that Galio that comes down is so strong. So I wonder what we're changing. So all Galio's mana goes from 50 to 75. So it looks like they get that first cast off faster, and all subsequent casts are the exact same. Demon Galio Lord. So Cultist 6 loses 100 health. Cultist 9 now immune to crowd control. This is insane. Okay, so the reason you don't play Cultist 9 is because it's garbage. It's just the worst thing ever. Basically, you sacrifice all other traits for Cultist 9, and then what ends up happening in like 80% of cases at that point of the game where everyone's level 8 is that giant Galio will land, he'll crush the ground, and then he will get CC'd forever and do nothing, and you will lose, and you'll bleed out to a fourth. Him being immune to crowd control is really good. It looks like he loses some health. He loses some AD. Honestly, 320 base AD is still insane. He's probably still one or two shotting your backline units anyways. This seems like it's a you can probably chase Cultist 9 in certain cases now if you hit like a couple 3-star Cultists early, or you 2-star your entire Cultist board, or hit that early Zillion. You can probably play Cultist 9. I'm really interested to see how that works with that basically QSS on Galio. Sorry, something else to note about that is like this is almost better than QSS because a lot of champions start with half full mana bars. Cultist like the Galio 9 is probably not coming down until the first set of casts are already off. So this is generally meaning that I guess that probably makes it slightly worse, but it means that he's not going to get hit by those initial bursts. It'll be at the end of their second cast where it's generally more important because most fights, all your CC characters usually only get 1 or 2 casts. And if this Galio is avoiding the second one, he's probably going to kill them before their third. Other trait changes. Dazzler. There we go. Dazzler gets a slight nerf at 2 Dazzler. 4 Dazzler is the same. I never see anyone run 4 Dazzler, so that's good. 4 Dazzler does seem strong. It just doesn't really fit. Divine bonus true damage reduction. So it seems like it's back to what it was 2 patches ago. So we're up to 50%. And it is nerfed at 2-star and buffed it 8. Or sorry, nerfed it 2 units and buffed it 8. Seems like a good change. I mean, 10% true damage and damage reduction is actually so much. So I'm curious. There is already one divine build in this set that sort of works, but really it's not a top tier build. I made a video for it. It's consistent if you don't hit the better comps. So yeah, this power boost to divine. I really want to be able to play divine more consistently, so that's exciting to see that maybe that can happen. Hunter bonus damage gets nerfed at every level by 25%. That's fine. Realistically, you don't play 5 Hunter a lot. And it seems like everyone who has Hunter doesn't actually need that extra damage. Like, if you think about Kindred, Ashe, and Warwick, Aphelios is a joke. We don't care about him. They already do insane amounts of burst damage. And they'll probably are, like, let's say they're targeting a squishy unit at four Hunter. They were going to die whether you're doing an extra 25% damage anyways. I think what this does is it lets them not cut through frontline units as quickly. But squishy units are still going to die to 175 power amp from a Kindred, Ashe and Warwick. Like, I think this brings them down. I don't think this does anything to the comp, though, really. Hunters are still going to be a good trait. Fortune added 10, 11, and 12 loss streaks. Great. If you cash out a 9 loss streak right now, it's your way to sort of get yourself in top 4 if you're having a rough go. I'm really curious how big the payouts are going to be for this. Maybe it more guarantees you a top 3 or something like that, or a win. Keeper Shield. Duration goes up from 8 seconds to 10 and 14 at 4 and 6. And the shield is nerfed at 6. This seems irrelevant. Keeper, I don't know. I'm not convinced this is going to do anything for Keeper, but maybe it does. I think it's probably still a trait that you splash in. I don't see any world where you ever run 6 Keeper. Just if you think of the overlapping synergies, there really are none. You've got what? Jarvan, Azir, Elise, Riven, and Kennen. I'm not running a team with those 5 units and having one of them be a chosen. It's not going to happen. But yeah, maybe 4 Keeper is better now. That extra 2 seconds might do something. I'm not convinced. We'll have to keep an eye on the meta sheet and see how that goes. Okay, let's dive into champions. Aphelios' extreme synergy with Rageblade has forced him into an overall weak balance state. When he doesn't have the item, they're decoupling his reliance on Rageblade. Remove the ability to proc on-hit attacks or grant him mana. So it sounds like Aphelios' turrets, so don't trigger Rageblade, Static Shiver, Rune-ins, or grant him mana, but trigger on-hit effects. I'm sorry, aren't these on-hit effects? What's the difference? What on-hit effects are there in the game then? Sojin? There's no red buff anymore. I don't know if it procs Morel and Almacon, to be honest with you. That seems bad. That seems like a huge nerf. Also, doesn't this mean, like, they're not an extension of him, so then maybe he should be able to attack and ult and stuff while he's in Guardian Angel? Whatever. Holy crap. Okay, so his starting mana actually goes down an insane amount, so he's going to be ulting a lot more. He gets attack speed, which, like, every small amount of attack speed is kind of scary on people. I don't know. There's probably going to be some broken build we can find with this. Off the top of my head, I haven't played Aphelios in like 3 patches now. I avoid him all the time. But guaranteed, just like with Warweek, there's going to be some broken version of this build. Maybe some meta sheet version. I don't know. But that's an insane mana drop. Zed, Contempt for the Weak attack, steals 20, 30, and 40%. Actually gets buffed to 30, 35, and 40. So 1 and 2, 1 star gets a 10% buff, 2 star gets a 5% buff. And his damage goes up at 1 star. Okay, so I guess they're just trying to mitigate how weak Zed is early. I honestly, the only time I ever see Zed is when people are getting Shade Zed or 3-starring him or something like that. Maybe this makes him a more splashing unit. Like, on paper, it seems like running Zed and Evelyn early should just get you early wins. Like, if you get that early Evelyn from one of your initial capsules, and then you also find a Zed, on paper's Shade buff should be strong enough to sort of slaughter most teams or make it close, and that is not the case right now. I don't think you ever run Zed and Evelyn early. I think you just sell them for the 5 gold and try to hit econ points. So this will be interesting. 15 damage early is quite a bit, especially if you're also draining 30% of their attack damage. So yeah, that'll be, maybe he's a early unit you play now. Akali gets an attack speed buff, 10%, or maybe that's not how percentage works. She gets a 0.1% attack speed buff. Good for her. Death Lotus, more damage early. Maybe Katarina 1 won't be complete trash. Cool. Callista Rend gets a buff at 3-star, an extra 1%. I don't think that fixes Callista's problem of having no place in the meta right now. She is a slower ramp-up time than Ashe, and she dies in one shot to Talons. I don't think giving her an extra percent at 3-star is going to ever make me play a 3-star Callista. Kennen. Oh, actually, Kennen gets a pretty big buff. He gets 10 armor and 10 magic resist. That's quite a bit, especially for base. So that means it's going to scale even better as the game goes on. Kennen's spell damage gets a nerf at 3-star. Okay. I haven't seen a 3-star Kennen since they buffed him in the last patch, to be honest with you. Ninjas are just kind of not on the radar right now. Yeah, this seems like a good change. Kennen's a keeper, so I mean, maybe this makes 4 keeper a bit more viable too, with the buffs they got. We'll see. Zinza rework. We're thinking good carry items for a Warlord comp. Crescent Guard. Zinza sweeps around him, dealing a bunch of damage based off his AD, and he gains a bunch of magic resist and armor. Holy crap. Okay. Zinza now has normal spell lock. Okay. Zinza total starting mana. Okay, so his mana gets nerfed by quite a bit. Fixed a bug where it couldn't crit. Okay, so this seems insane to me. So the issue with Vanguard, or with Warlords, and actually to an extent the same issue with Duelists, is they don't really have a good cost-effective tank. So, for example, your Warlords and your Duelists both depend on either 1 or 2-star units to get 3-starred to be like your sort of beefy frontline. So with Warlords, it's Garen, Vi, to an extent Jarvan, and for Duelists, it's basically because you don't really run Fiora in Duelists, it's 100% Jax and then maybe Yasuo with his items. Where realistically Zinza should fit that niche in both those comps, where he should be able to be that tank, which this feels like an overshot. I don't know. So if he can proc this all the time, putting like a Bloodthirster and then a Stone Plate and a Sojourn or something like that, like itemizing Zinzao so that he's alting more and lifestealing. After 2 alts, that's 150 armor and MR at 3-star, right? Which is just insane. I see this could make Duelists and Warlords totally forceable, especially if you hit a chosen Zinzao. I am scared of this, but I want to play it real bad because Zinzao is fun. He just kind of sucks right now. Another rework. So Ahri can dominate. We're adding some ways for opponents to disrupt their plan. Talent can be oppressive. And Divine Trick. Okay, let's just read the buffs. Okay, so Spirit Bomb is now an actual channel that can be interrupted. Oh, okay. Causing her to release the orb early, reducing the size of the impact area. Interesting. Okay, so I think I've seen a couple videos of this. I think okay, so Ahri is a completely RNG champion, right? So basically what happens is, even right now, if she charges a full ult and she shoots the wrong person, you lose the fight anyways, right? This is giving her back a good amount of damage. So at 25 damage at level 1, 25 damage at level 2. And also this might actually get her to cast more, right? So the damage doesn't seem to change, just the impact, right? So you're just playing with RNG again. And the way that most backline comps work right now, like Ashes or Sharpshooters, to an extent Enlightened when you're playing against Morganas, stuff like that, they're very clumped. So it doesn't even need to, you're still probably playing with those same RNG elements where you're just shooting a smaller ball, but it's still going to hit the people directly around that unit, right? So you still have you generally will probably have the highest chance of hitting those units anyways. and now that interrupting it doesn't reduce the damage. So she should be firing off more. This seems like it's probably a buff, unless we get to a meta where people are actually spreading their comps out and being a bit smarter. I've had a little bit of success playing Ahri this patch right now. This makes me want to play her more. Yeah, I'm very excited to try her out. Ashe loses 50 health and 5 armor. Great. Ashe in Elderwood comps is super annoying, but Ashe in the Hunter Adept comp probably still going to be basically just as strong, I guess. I mean, 5 armor is quite a bit. Maybe the Talon actually gets to one-shot her now. Unless Talon crits, a 2-star Talon generally can't one-shot a 2-star Ashe. She's usually left with under 100 health, so this actually might make the difference. Yeah, good change. Sejuani is getting nerfed. So her first cast still takes 80 mana, and then all subsequent casts will cost an extra 20. Good nerf. If you've played against Sedge, which everyone has, she gets to cast generally 2 to 4 times a match. This probably cuts it down to 1 to 2 a match, so I'm down with that change. She's the best tank in the game by far. Talon will now target, instead of highest damage dealt, to lowest armor, and his leap time is increased. So this is a really interesting change. I think what this actually does is makes Ashe the best damage dealer carry. Like, Ashe is probably going to be the best unit in the game right now. Because generally the counter to the Ashe comp is getting Talon off, and basically the same way you play Talon against sharpshooters, right? Talon would pop off, knock out everyone in the back line, and that's it. What this does now is generally Ashe is running Guardian Angel, and that extra armor she has puts her above everyone else on the team for the most part. Like, even in the Adept comps or the Elderwood comps, unless you're running Bramble Vest or some Sunfire Cape or something like that, you usually have one full tank, and then the other Chain Vest is saved for Ashe's Guardian Angel. This means that she will probably be the second last person alive, unless Talon jumps on her at the start, which is... it's interesting. It's good. Talon's super frustrating, so I'm glad they added some counterplay, but I am worried that this pushes Ashe to the best spot. Same with Jhin. Jhin comps are probably going to get a lot better now too, because you can always run GA on him as well. And no one else in the Jhin comps besides Riven usually runs Guardian Angel or Armors. So this will be an interesting change. Talon is probably going to get toned down a bit, but Jhin and Ashe comps are probably going to be better now. Warwick's Fear duration goes from 1.5 to 0.75. Okay, that's a good nerf. Primal Hunger, his attack speed actually gets nerfed quite a bit. So it goes from, he loses 40% at level 1 and 50% at level 2. Those are not insignificant numbers. This basically means you need at least one bow. I would guess you probably need to double Runins him. I don't know. This is kind of a big attack speed nerf. I wonder what the context is. So I want to make sure that fighting against Warwick doesn't devolve him into permanently stunning. They're looking to replace the fear mechanic entirely in 10.24. Okay, so this is probably preempted. They probably don't want to do War Week again, so that's fine. And I guess there's a bug with Hunter. Lilia's starting mana goes up. So it costs her 40 mana for her first alt, and then it costs 5 less on every other alt too. This is good. I've actually been pairing Lilia a lot with Ahri in these last couple games that I've been playing her, and it's been working really well. I've been liking running 3 mage with my Ahri Vanguard comp, so any reason to play Lilia, I'm down for it, because she is the 5 cost unit, her and like maybe Lee Sin, that I skip almost all the time, unless I'm playing a comp for them, whereas like every other 5 cost you can splash in and feel good about it. 3-star Lee Sin, who cares? No one's ever going to hit him. What's it do? Knocks out enemy regardless of their board position. That's kind of fun. No one's ever going to hit that in a real game, so who cares? Kane Reaper. Okay, this is really big. So the reason you don't see Kane being played much is because his AI just got bonked. He doesn't spin properly. You'll see situations where he is against a single target and he will spin once and won't spin again, even though if the target is alone, he should be like windmilling them, right? So I'm hoping this is what that fixes. Yeah, a reason to play Kane again, that would be nice, but not like before where he was a permanent splash. And then bugs. Fixed a bug where spell crits would not work if they were connected to an attack that was already critting. Vane's true damage could not. Okay. Cool. Good bug fix. Mobile item panel. Doesn't matter. There was quite a bit this patch. I think the big things to worry for, I mean, not worry for, but I think 9 cultist probably going to be good. Keeper feels irrelevant. Divine is probably going to climb up a little bit. Especially with as soon as people see nerfs to like Ash and Talon, then like the immediate thing you're going to try is other things that were buffed, right? Which is going to be Divine. Zed early, good change. Kennon's probably a really good 3-cost unit right now. Zinza is probably the biggest thing on this patch. Like Zinza and Ahri, I think have the potential to be the big carries this patch outside of like your standard comps. Like I think their comps are going to pop up a lot more. But all we can do is wait and see how it's played. That is the 10.23 patch rundown. Thank you for sticking around. Yeah, good luck on the climb.